Hello and welcome to this Star Wars show about everything, anything and all things Star Wars. This is State of the Galaxy, Episode 9. Please enjoy.
For centuries, Alderaan stood as a beacon of hope in the Republic. The Empire came.
I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
Peace while you suffer. The Emperor drowns you in black waters.
He wants me to be Darth Revan again. Serve him as I did centuries ago. He made me a Sith Lord and named me Darth Revan.
The Force does not control you. You saved your Guardian using something you thought was important. But your motives are still aligned with the Jedi Code. To arms, men! Defend the throne! Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him. He was weak and foolish, like his father. So I destroyed him.
Master Windu, you have fought gallantly. Worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi. It is finished.
To them it is.
I have been waiting for you. Is it true that he is the chosen one?
If you were a Jedi, which master would you have?
Who would my master be? Count Dooku before he turned.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair
because he
enough.
seems cool, a little bit cynical.
Yeah.
You know, believes in the Jedi, but it's not like a complete slave to their ways.
No, and
you
in a way that teaching led Qui-Gon along the right path.
Exactly, because although Qui-Gon Jinn ultimately, I don't think
Led to the destruction of everything ever.
Well, yeah, but also in Episode 1, I don't think they needed Qui-Gon Jinn as a character.
Okay.
I remember thinking this when I was a little kid and I went to see it when it came out in 1999.
Yes.
I can't remember how old I was in 1999. 14. I remember thinking, why did they bother with Qui-Gon Jinn? They should have just had Obi-Wan as the older Jedi that finds
Yeah.
him. I suppose because it added dramatic tension when that led to that kick-ass lightsaber fight, which was the best thing about that movie.
But they also needed someone who conflicted Obi-Wan's very kind of black and white view, like the Council had, and gave him a different view.
Maybe Obi-Wan didn't need to be that black and white. Also, as well, if you think about it, I know they've kind of retconned the fact that he lived in the desert for ages and it aged him a little bit and all that sort of jazz. That's just them retconning stuff to make stupid decisions work. Like, if you think about it, Episode 1 is, 10 years before Episode 3?
Something like that.
Something like that. And Episode 3 is about 20 years before Episode 4.
I think it's about 2016, something like that.
Well, isn't Luke like 18 or something?
Something like that, okay.
18 or 20, or he's a young man, basically. He's a late teens young man, which means
Yeah.
that about, let's say, 20 years to just to round it up to the nearest decade to make our life easier. So between Episode 1 and Episode 4, there's 30 years. Obi-Wan is clearly in his late 60s, early 70s in Star Wars Episode 4.
Yeah.
He should be in his 30s. He should be a young middle-aged... Well, that's me saying young middle-aged now, doesn't it? He should be in his 30s or in his 40s in Episode 4.
Yeah.
But he's only a Padawan, which means he's only late teens, early 20s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just... That always bugged me.
Yeah.
Like, I like Qui-Gon's character, and the way they expand on him in the expanded universe later, I thought was very cool. I just didn't think he was necessary.
No, fair enough. And it's a problem that re-arises with the prequels, and then you see in shows like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, where they claim that this person's like 10, but is clearly 16 or something like that. Like with the stuff with Padme and Anakin, and then he suddenly seems older and stuff like that. But yeah, fair enough. And then the opposite end of the scale, if Sith, which master would you have?
I wouldn't have any. They're scary, man. Right? They're mean. They like torture. They're like. Obviously, they've got to teach them the dark side ways, but the dark side ways are like, be a douche, right? For the greater evil. For the greater evil. For greater evil. But yeah, I wouldn't want a Sith master. Nasty. Like, Darth Plagueis used to like torture Palpatine, and Palpatine used to torture everybody.
Yeah, including Vader.
Yeah.
So there's no one there that could swing you, because I think Dooku was my choice, simply because he didn't so much go down that line, because he turned a couple of people during his career, including Quinlan Vos at some point. It was just through dark manipulation. There wasn't so much torture there, although you do see torture in the Clone Wars with him training Savage. And so I suppose there's a two-edged sword there, but...
Like Savage's?
Yeah.
He had a
Fair play.
So I wouldn't pick anyone. Anyway,
Okay.
I can't pick Dooku twice.
No.
Because that's a little bit pro-Dooku, isn't it?
It is just a little bit. So fine. That's the first time we haven't had an actual choice for that one, so that's fine. Unfortunately, there's no opposite question for this one, but if you were a Sith, what name would you have?
If I was a Sith, what name would I have?
Because mine plays off my name. So Kalak being part of my surname. And then, of course, I'm writing the book and stuff, so it always kind of merges into one.
Oh, that's interesting. What would my Darth name be? Darth...
I mean, it doesn't even necessarily need to be Darth. I mean, Dooku's to everyone else was Count Dooku, apart from Darth Tyrannus to Sidious.
Well, Darth Sidious wasn't Darth Sidious to anyone except
Yeah.
the other Sith.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's difficult. What would my Darth name be? Oh, that's a difficult question to think about, isn't it? You know, something that epitomises evilness and badness and stuff. It doesn't have to, though, does it?
No, not necessarily.
Darth Zaphod.
Zaphod?
Yeah,
Nice.
because I'm a fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it sounds seamlessly evil, and it is my middle name.
Fair play.
So that one, there we go, Darth Zaphod.
Cool.
And it does sound kind of badass now.
Because, I mean, General Grievous is one, although not Sith. His name purely focused around the loss that he suffered when he was a warrior.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
that was quite cool.
So what's his real name?
I'm not too sure because I haven't really looked into that.
I bet it's some weird, impronounceable alien thing.
Yeah.
Actually, most Star Wars names are really kind of stupid when you look at them. With the exception of Luke, who's the only person in the Star Wars universe. In fact, Luke's got a weird name, because he's got a real name, and everybody else in the Star Wars universe has got goofy names.
Yeah.
You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Han Solo, and Quinlan Vos. Those names are weird. They're cool, but they're weird. Whereas Luke is, my name's Luke. And they're like, you've got a silly name. Luke. What sort of name is that? Luke.
I know it's a bit dark, but do you think when Padme was kind of falling in and out of death and life, when she named him, it was like Obi-Wan was just like, go on, give us another name.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to go with Luke?
But you could choose
Leia's
any-
all right, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody was called Leia before 1977.
No.
I'm sure quite a few people called Leia after 1977.
Probably.
But Luke's been around for a while.
It has, yeah. So fair play. And what is your favourite, and this should be really be at the beginning, what is your favourite Star Wars film?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, of course.
I know that's like a generic cookie cutter answer,
No, not at all.
but that's because it's the best scripted, the best storyline, the best character development. The visuals are awesome.
Yeah.
The snow battle scene is awesome. Like, that's so good. The Super Star Destroyer executioners, just like when you see that ship turn up, you're just like, oh my god, they get bigger, you know? Because you saw this massive, like the opening scene of Star Wars: A New Hope is like awesome. You're like, oh, that ship's going and it's flying, and oh my god, is this other ship ever going to end? Like, it's just enormous compared to that tiny little thing. And then you see it in Empire Strikes Back. You're like, oh, it's a Star Destroyer. It's pretty big, isn't it? You're like, wait, there's a shadow. What the? Oh my god! Like, where do they get the money to buy these things?
Because that was the joke that they made in Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, yeah, where the ship just keeps going, and that's why that joke is so funny.
It's a good one. So yeah, that'll probably be my choice. But back when we used to do Nerdcast, Matt kind of retconned me by saying, yeah, that's your choice now, but we know that you grew up with the prequels before you watched the originals, so I bet that even when I first watched the originals, I bet that my favourite film wasn't one of them. I bet it was, I can't for life of me remember, but hopefully it wasn't episode 1. Please no, Alex, no. I have to have faith in my past self just a little bit.
Yes.
So what is your least, well, opposite end of the spectrum, what's your least favourite Star Wars film?
My least favourite Star Wars film.
And to make it a bit more interesting, I'm going to include the films that were made as TV series films. So you've got the Ewok Adventures.
I haven't seen.
I've
seen the Ewok cartoon.
Okay,
because that was on when I was a kid.
They did 2 live-action films.
I remember they did seriously though. That's like them making a pork movie.
Yeah.
Right.
They made talk.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, I haven't seen those though, but they're probably horror. I'm going to say those, just for the sheer audacity of making Ewok movies.
Apparently they're not as bad as the holiday special, but they're close.
Not as bad as the holiday. Did you ever watch the cartoon Droids?
No, I don't.
I watched Droids when I was a kid as well, and I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And that's just got R2 and 3PO and a bunch of other random people in it, and it's loosely linked to Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of the story because, like I said, I was very, very young when it was on. But I remember watching Droids, another spin-off. See, people think they're milking it now. Like,
They did
milked it back then too. Like Ewok movies, right? Come on.
It would make about much sense to have a Tusken Raider film.
Exactly, right? Like I said, it's like the Adventures of. I bet it's going to be a pork cartoon, right?
They've already
done all
done
anime and blah blah blah.
They've already done small sketches, but nothing.
You know, I mean, I don't mind the porks. I thought they were all right. You know, I wasn't like. The thing about them, right? Other than making spoilers, other than making Chewie doubt himself a little bit, they had no bearing on the story.
No.
They were just an extra cute little thing chucked in there for no reason, but they weren't bad. I didn't find them annoying, etc., etc. Whereas the Ewoks were key to the story of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, without the Ewoks, they wouldn't have found the back door.
No.
Without the Ewoks, they wouldn't have somehow managed to defeat an entire legion of my best troops awaits them.
I'm so sure he sent the wrong batch.
Yeah, he's like, are these the reserves? Because they're being taken out by small furry critters, right?
Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
No. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, you did. 'Cause you said the Ewok films. But there was something that I wanted to add. I think it was Ryan Johnson said in a Twitter post or something, that those shots of the island and the porks are everywhere. They actually had to do that because on that island they have puffins.
Yeah.
And there were so many that they couldn't shoo off set that they just
That doesn't surprise me.
They just digitally.
Yeah, digitally changed them into porgs.
Yeah.
Porgins.
Pretty much.
That doesn't surprise me. In terms of like the actual real Star Wars movies that aren't stupid spin-offs, Episode 1 and 2 I would kind of lump together. Episode 1 had some good ideas in it, but the problem is it just lacked like it's like, who was the film for?
Yeah.
You know, who was it for? Like everyone's always said, oh, Star Wars is a kids movie, and people that are like old get upset about that, but it is a kids movie, guys. I'm sorry, you loved it because you was a kid, right? They are suitable for kids, but adults love them too. Episode 1 was weird because obviously you had bits that were specifically for kids, like Jar Jar, and the pod race. The pod race, although it was awesome and it looked great, it was more of a look at what we can do with our special effects. This scene goes on far too long. It doesn't really add anything to the story.
No.
But also as well, like, you've got all this stuff aimed at kids, but then you've got all this trade routes and taxation of trade routes and all this politics stuff that would be boring for adults in a kids' movie. It's like, so who are you pitching this for? So it was a bit weird and disjointed like that. And episode 2 just... I've seen lots of reviews as to why it's bad. But you know, sometimes when I know you quite like it, and you're entitled to your opinion even if it's wrong. But you know when you watch a film and you're like, this is just bad. And I don't know why. I don't know why it's bad, but it's just bad. And there was just something about episode 2 that I just didn't like at all.
I think it's the pacing that gets a lot of people.
It's paced really bad. I mean, the Geonosis battle's cool.
Yeah.
It is very cool, but even that goes on too long. and it takes forever to get there, and it takes forever for them not to do anything, and the Anakin and Padme scenes just make you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit.
Yes.
Their relationship is completely and utterly unbelievable. How does she fall in love with that egotistical, slimy little dickhead? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's a politician. She deals with more slimier people or less slimy people every day. What is it about this little guy? Because, you know, he can pick up an apple with his hand. Ooh, I can do that. I just need to reach over and do it. You know? And it's just... Do you know what? Why do you think that film's good?
Wow, are we really... Okay. Yeah?
The short version.
Okay. I am a sucker for lore expansion.
Yeah.
And that film gives it to us in buckets.
What does it really give us, though?
It gives us new planets. It gives us past lore with the creation of the clone army. It gives us politics in a manageable handful. It gives us, with the lore expansion in itself, it gives us new directions, because without Boba Fett and then Django, I doubt the Mandalorian idea would exist. And it resonates with something that I love about Star Wars as an idea, where you really get to see the Jedi at their best, and it expands on how they fight and how they all came together as a council and took on this one problem. Whereas with all the other stories, you're focusing on one person. But during the Battle of Geonosis, especially, it was focusing on all of them. And with every single loss, you felt like the Jedi Council was at the kind of rocky seesaw point of succeeding, or this is their downfall, this is the start of it. So as a film, as it stands alone, if Episode 2 was all that exists of the Star Wars canon, it would suck. But as a lore expansion and as a branch off all these other stories, I love it.
Yeah. Problem is, though, right? A film needs more than exposition dumping.
Yeah.
And a lot of that film, like you said, it does build up the lore and the Star Wars mythos,
Yeah.
etc. But there was a lot of exposition dump, and you need a coherent story to make all that lore have meaning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can't excuse the lore building of one film to make the others better.
Yeah.
You know.
Fair.
Having said that, though, Revenge of the Sith, bits of that are pretty crap. The bits of that are phenomenally good. You know, there are some bits of Revenge of the Sith, which is why, although I'm not a big fan of the prequels, I do like that movie, and I will rewatch that movie as a standalone.
Yeah.
Well, I never watched the other two as a standalone.
No, fair. I feel sorry for Tom because I sat him down and was like, well, let's watch Episode 2. That's all we watched.
Why would you do that to him? Did you put that thing on his head like in Clockwork Orange that forces their eyes open?
I may as well have, because I mean, I think both of us, when we got to the end, it was like, wow, that was more of a drag than I thought it would be.
Is that you saying that?
Yeah, I felt it a little bit, but not
exactly.
as...
You're like,
I know.
How is it your favourite one?
It's not my favourite one.
All right.
I
like it?
I like it more than Force Awakens.
There is more going on in it than Force Awakens.
But I think I've fallen into the crowd with Force Awakens, where they just say it's a hash of Star Wars Episode 4, therefore it sucks. I see good things. I know this is going into different parts, but I don't like some of the new characters. But anyway, so Episode 2 for me, it was characters that I loved, and it just brought everything nicely together. You saw Anakin going to his dark side a bit with the Tusken Raiders.
The thing is, though, right, he was always kind of there. There wasn't really a gradual fall.
There wasn't, no, but that helped a little bit.
Yeah, like we talked about in the spoiler cast. I'm not going to spoil it here.
No, go for it.
But the Adam Driver's performance of Kylo Ren is what we should have got from Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
In the prequels, you wanted to see that inner conflict and that turmoil and that change, but he was a douche from the start. You know, he was just annoying in Episode 1, but as soon as you saw him in Episode 2 and he's arguing with Obi-Wan and he's, you know, he knows he's the chosen one, or he's been told he's the chosen one, and he's got this chip on his shoulder. You're like, yeah, but for Darth Vader's fall to be a tragic one, you needed to have liked him, and there needed to have been redeeming qualities through his character for him to change.
Yeah.
And you never got that. He was just a whiny bitch from the start, and then just got worse and more evil. There are obviously things like killing the Tuscans and things like that that made him go down the path. But there was never moments where you're like, oh yeah, he's a good guy, and he's a nice, likeable guy. You got that from the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars fleshed out Anakin as a good character, and that's what I really liked about the Clone Wars. But you shouldn't have needed to. It should have been in the damn films.
It should have been in the films.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, fair enough. So that's that. I'm sorry. So if you were to write a story, be it Legends or anything within the Star Wars universe, what would you write it about? Because we've had, I think Harrison chose a bounty hunter story.
Yeah.
I think Tom wanted to flesh out the Gungans for some reason.
Why would you want to flesh out the Gungans?
I don't know.
The Gungan leaders fleshed out enough. Those double chins are epic.
Yeah.
What story would I write? It's interesting, isn't it? See, it's very easy to criticise stories that other people write, but when it's like, oh, what, so
how would you
now
write
you've done
it?
nothing about now you've done nothing but criticise different things.
Yeah, how would you?
How would you do it? And my answer is, I don't know.
Something that I've always been fascinated with is how much the Force seems to dictate the movement of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So my story, when I wrote it, was what happens is if there's a character that the Force won't let die,
Yeah.
that he, if more than anything, wants to die.
Yeah.
And he meets all these people that want to be with him. It's almost like my story was subject a lot around my depression at the time, so it's like I wrote it as if it were me. All these people want to help me. I want to push them all away.
Yeah.
And I just want to go. And it was kind of painting the Force as having done something wrong. And my character was the spawn of that. Because after my character's only drive during his fall to the dark side was, I want to be king of Alderaan. Well, that's my prize. And when Alderaan was destroyed, and then he woke up so many thousands of years later and was like, that's it. The Empire's been established, my reign's gone, no one remembers me. He just wants to go, but the Force won't let him.
Sucks to be him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sucks to be... I don't know, thinking about... Maybe the story of a Jedi Knight on the road to becoming a Master. How do you become a Jedi Master?
Not like Anakin, apparently.
Not like Anakin. Even though he got a seat on the council, it's insulting. Just get over yourself, you whiny bitch.
Not grant you the rank of Master.
Yeah, it's like you're here for political reasons.
Probably just because of the Chosen One prophecy, that's about it.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So, which film has your most favourite soundtrack / piece of music?
Empire.
Yeah, which one? I think I
The
know
Imperial March.
Yeah, okay,
It's
fair
so good. Having said that, though, thinking about it, the scene in Revenge of the Sith where...
Is it the Palpatine?
The Palpatine exposition dump scene. Even though that scene is really good. 'Cause you know what? Ian McDiarmid doesn't get as much credit for making that role his own. He was so good.
Did you know they kind of reused that music in Episode 7 with Snoke talking to Kylo? It's almost exactly the same.
Yeah, it wasn't as good.
No.
But that music in the opera was really, really good. I mean, it wasn't subtle at all.
No.
It's like, how can this guy not be of the dark side? Are you stupid, my
Literally.
friend? How do you not see it? We all see it. We're all screaming at the screen. Here's the bad guy we've known for 6 years.
He literally has the red guard standing behind him.
Exactly.
And
How can he be talking about? Oh, it's a Sith legend. The Jedi won't tell you this because only the Sith know it. For goodness sake, Anakin. But that scene was very good, and the music I thought was excellent.
No, fair enough. My personal favourite, despite it not being in my favourite film, is from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's the fight scene between Luke and Vader. And I dive into that music way too much because when
with the it's like got
it's the
orchestra and the choir stuff going on, isn't it?
But
It's so good.
The way that I picture that, and then the electrocution scene that takes place after, it's almost like all the other Sith are standing alongside Sidious and Vader. They're all there when he's being electrocuted. It's not just Sidious; it's all of them. It's the legacy,
like a
of the
gospel
Sith.
choir of Sith.
Exactly, pretty much, but less cheesy.
Less cheesy.
Yeah. So that's
But actually, I'd forgotten about that piece of music. Yes, very, very good.
That was the Battle of Endor Part 2. It was a really nice piece of music. So, where are we at now? Oh, there we go, it goes on that way. I'm not sure if I know this, I feel like I might. Do you collect figurines?
I used to.
Okay.
I don't these days.
No.
I've still got a couple that I haven't got, because I used to have loads when I was a kid. I had quite a few of the old ones from like the 70s that I bought at boot sales and things like that. Before they became collectibles, we'd sold them off. Damn it! I used to have some of the old. We used to have a couple from the 90s. Do you remember that? Obviously you weren't really about as a sentient human being back in the 90s, but they had these. Oh, it was so bad. There were these Luke and Han Solo toys from the 90s, and they were like freaking He-Man. They were like buff. They looked like they'd had one too many protein shakes. They were so muscly, and they were, I was just thinking about those toys. They were just rubbish. We had a couple of those. I had the old Dash Render action figure from Shadows of the Empire with his backpack and his sniper gun thing, and that was awesome. I've still got, I think it's quite rare, a Carl Katarn action figure.
I think that might be quite rare.
Yeah, and he's still got both his blasters, so his proper little hand blaster, which looks cool, and then this other little square blaster thing that you used to get in, because he was the main character from Shadows of the Empire games.
Yeah.
And it's him from Shadows of the Empire 1 and 2, I think, before it becomes the Jedi Knight series and he becomes a Jedi, so he doesn't have a lightsaber with it.
No.
But yeah, I've still got that Carl Katarn figure, and that's kept. It's not in the original packaging, I'm afraid, because I was a kid and I played with my toys, because I was a weirdo.
No. Oh, wow.
I've got a Yoda,
Nice.
and I've got Revenge of the Sith, I think. Maybe it's Revenge of the Sith Mace Windu, where you squeeze his legs together and he does the lightsaber choppy action. Yeah, and I think they're the only ones I've still got, actually. Most of the others have been lost or sold or donated to boot sales and things like that over the years, but I still have a couple.
I mean, and again, this is kind of in classic Alex form. I collect figurines that are in the film for the least amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, I've got the droid that greets R2 and 3PO in Jabba's palace, with that one being tortured in the corner. Then I've got the one that kind of cranks up the gonk droid.
Yeah.
And I'm also trying to get the one that was in the remaster for Episode 4, when you're seeing all the shots of Tatooine, that one that punches the droid,
Yeah.
the floaty one. You can also buy that one.
Of course you can. You can buy toys for everything. Like, you can get Star Wars breakfast cereal. You can get toys for things that have only been in for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. So I pride myself on that particular collection. So fair enough. So in your opinion, what is the best thing about the expanded universe? So I don't know which way you want to go about this, like the current one or the one that existed in the past.
The best thing about the expanded universe. I think that the best thing about the expanded universe as a whole is it fleshes out the Star Wars universe outside the Skywalker lineage. Because if you think about it, the Star Wars saga, episodes 1 to 8, is about the Skywalkers and the people that pop up in their lives.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. That's what Star Wars has always been about. So it'd be interesting to see once they finish episode 9, will they do an episode 10, 11, 12 in the future?
I can answer that already.
I mean, I know Rian Johnson's making another trilogy.
He is outside of the Star Wars, outside of the Skywalker lineage and elsewhere in the galaxy. But Daisy Ridley has actually said that she's not doing anything outside of episode 9. That's it.
Yeah.
So perhaps that could be it for that particular.
I think that would be okay. I'd be happy with that.
So
but I like the fact that the expanded universe is makes the Star Wars story richer. You know, expands on things, gives people information and lore that you wouldn't otherwise have. You know, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish the films would give you everything you need for the films without having to have it, but it's nice to have it. Do you know what I mean?
Nice to have it. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, what is the worst thing about the expanded universe for you?
More Jar Jar. No, I don't know actually. But the worst, I don't really think there is a bad thing about the expanded universe. I mean, I'm pretty sure that some of the stories are pretty crap.
Yes.
Because obviously, the more people have got access to material, the more chance there is for bad stuff to be put in, which is always the case with everything. I mean, I suppose crappy stories.
My problem existed as soon as the expanded universe came about, which was why the dating in this universe focuses around the destruction of the first Death Star.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I suppose that's just a key reference point for everybody, I guess. But I don't know why it'd be successful. Like, you got 2,000 years. But
Yeah.
what is it? BBY?
ABY and
ABY.
and BBY.
Yeah, BBY and ABY.
I don't get
I
that.
don't know why the blowing up of the Death Star is as important as the birth of Jesus.
Yeah,
But there you go.
Apparently not. And last of all, what does Star Wars mean to you as a whole?
Oh, that's a hard question. I should have got this far in your other podcast with other people, so I would have known how to approach this question. What does Star Wars mean to me? I don't know, it's just kind of... For me, it was the first bit of escapism. It was the first sci-fi thing I ever watched. I like Star Trek and Babylon 5 and loads of other sci-fi things, loads of other fantasy things, but Star Wars was the first bit of sci-fi escapism that I ever got as a kid. Like I said, my mum made me watch the first one when I was 4. So yeah, I suppose it's the opportunity to escape and enjoy something that's completely different to real life, but still it's got like relatable people in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why. That's what it is to me. Ultimate escapism.
Fair enough.
Good and bad.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll wrap up that particular part of the podcast. I don't know how far we've got in.
We'll probably be talking for a hell of a long time again.
Yeah. So there was something that I wanted to do before we wrapped up.
Yeah.
I've been reading the Star Wars Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad book.
Right.
I know it's Star Wars Battlefront 2 isn't something that you're interested in necessarily playing or necessarily expanding the knowledge, but there were a couple of things that were said in the book that really added to the story for me personally.
Right.
And the story takes place from just before the Rebels arrive on the first run of the Death Star in Episode 4. I believe then all the way up to the second destruction of the destruction of the second Death Star.
So all the time between
Those films.
those two,
Is pictured in this book. It focuses around our female antagonist, I guess, and she's a TIE fighter pilot, and she is out picking off X-wings and Y-wings during that particular battle. And the bit that I really loved was that they see that the X-wings are going into the trench, but they're not ordered to pursue. They're ordered to stay away for whatever reason. I think it's because Vader's TIE Interceptor and the other two are coming in, so Vader will deal with them. So then they're ordered.
So she's one of the ones fighting up top.
Yeah. They're then ordered to pick off the remaining Y-wings and whatever's left. There's a Y-wing that's heading, or she thinks that's heading back to Yavin. She's in pursuit, she fires, and then there's a massive blinding flash. And she has no idea what's going on. I think the Y-wing gets away. And then she's just surrounded by debris. And she assumes that she was caught up in the destruction of Yavin. And she's swerving in and out, and she thinks she's going to die, but then she starts to really notice what's going on and notice bits of the debris don't look quite right. And then she sees Yavin, and it's fine. And she then realises that the Death Star's been destroyed.
Like, oh,
it's absolute devastation to her, because it's almost like when the Titanic sank. There was this unsinkable thing that sank.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like the aftermath from that. So it was really nice to see how, I suppose, again, the little people within the Star Wars story really reacted to these really big events.
How did she get away?
She,
Because TIE fighters don't have hyperdrive.
they do not know. So she suffered a knock from one of the bigger pieces of debris. The TIE fighter.
So it did that whole spinny thing.
Yeah, pretty much. But as she's an ace pilot, she was able to get it in a controlled crash. And she crashed on the fourth moon of Yavin and was able to subdue a rebel pilot. Even though she was still injured, and she had to fashion a makeshift splint from a bit of her TIE fighter.
So she's like the MacGyver of the TIE fighter community.
Indeed. She fashioned herself a splint, found a rebel, subdued him, and then got a ship, and then flew back to Imperial occupied space.
And it wasn't blown up instantly.
No, she did all right.
She obviously had the right calling codes. It's an older code, sir, but it checks out.
They need their refresher to be called. It's happened twice now.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were all good. And the other two things was, I don't know. I'm thinking about it more. I was probably foolish not to recognise this almost immediately. But when it really depicts it in this. When TIE fighters go out into space, the pilots are almost quite jolted by the change of sound that they get, because the TIE fighters make such a prominent noise.
Yeah.
To then just get that kind of whiny noise that you hear from Vader's cockpit.
Yeah.
But then I've wondered, if you're doing an in-atmosphere battle, do you still get that horrible noise?
I don't know. I mean, where does the noise come from? Because remember, there's no sound in space.
No, so I guess it's just such... Can you have any sound in space?
No.
If it's a prominent enough noise?
No.
Nothing?
No, because sound is generated by the vibration of particles.
Yeah, and if there's no
the
particles...
particle density in space is not zero, but it's so low that sound wouldn't be able to propagate through it.
Okay.
So, you know, if you watch Serenity... Have you seen Serenity?
I have, yeah.
There's no sound in that show
No.
when they do the space stuff,
No.
because there's no sound in space.
Okay,
That's
but-
one of the reasons why I really like it. Obviously, it lacks dramatic tension. Having the sound makes it sound awesome, and the lasers and it's cool. It's good for dramatic effect, and,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't make any noise.
No.
You know, I don't know, because obviously I'm not a fake science engineer, so I don't know why the TIE fighters make that sound. But I can't see why there wouldn't be high-pitched screaming of the twin-ion engines doing whatever they're doing to propel the TIE fighter forward that wouldn't reverberate around in the cockpit. No reason why it wouldn't do that.
No.
But, yeah, it wouldn't make that screechy noise outside.
No. Okay, fair play. And the last part is the rumours that flew around Imperial... just like when... Because they occupy Coruscant during the reign of the Galactic Empire. The rumours that flooded from the Battle of Scarif to what happened at Jeddah. And she knows so much. She knows about Galen Erso. She knows about what happened on Jeddah. She knows about Scarif. Hence why she was so surprised when the Death Star got blown up, because she knows of two very successful firings of the Death Star, and when nothing was able to even penetrate its hull.
Well, it's the propaganda, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
propaganda machine, isn't it?
And again, actually, the propaganda is mentioned quite a lot, because her mother did art propaganda. So she did the Imperial posters and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which is really nice. I love it when they flesh out stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's cool.
That's really nice.
But then, is this Christy Golden? She's very good.
Yeah.
Like, she does... she's written a lot of the Warcraft novels. When I used to play
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, I used to read quite a lot of her novels, and I like those. She does a lot of editing for the Horus Heresy stuff of Warhammer 40,000, which I read.
There we go. Got World of Warcraft stuff there.
And you got World of Warcraft, loads of Star Trek as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame it's all Voyager, but there we go. I mean, I like Voyager, but Lord of the Clans, Rise of the Horde, Beyond the Top. But they're all great books.
Yeah.
I haven't read all of these ones.
No.
I've read War Crimes. That one's very good as well.
Yeah.
But I haven't read all of these ones because I don't play Warcraft anymore.
No.
But yeah, she's good. I like her.
Certainly seems like she knows her stuff.
Oh yeah, she's a very good writer.
And I try to aspire to be a good writer too, in my modest ways, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, doing these podcasts with me, I was wondering, is there any kind of Star Wars related questions that you wanted to ask me? Because I know that there's a lot of different shared views. I mean, I like episode 2 above episode 7. I like some of the more questionable decisions that they've made.
So what is the most questionable decision in the Star Wars movies that you like, and why do you like it? What is considered in the community to be a bad call?
Yeah.
A bad call that you think is a good call, and why?
Again, it's probably, if I choose one, it's probably going to be because of its lore expansion factor. But I didn't mind the Ewoks. I know a lot of people hate on that because it was too slapstick and it was too unbelievable that these tiny teddy bears were able to do the things that they did. And if you look at it in film, it seems ridiculous. But if you then add in lore that these things were insanely strong and one hit from a spear would have imploded your face, it makes it a bit more brutal then and less cuddly.
Less cuddly, yeah.
So I suppose if you look at it that way, then it's fine. Or less terrible. Less bad. And something else, and if we go to the prequels as well, I didn't mind. I don't want to go in too dark because every single time I do a podcast, I always relate it back to myself and so art myself. It's ridiculous. I didn't mind Anakin because I saw a lot of myself in him. There have been lots of times during my life where I've just exploded for no reason, and not going to necessarily paint myself as a dark person, but if I ever said anything that seemed out of place or particularly cynical, it always came so abruptly and needed very little. There was no kind of transition that led to it. So I saw a lot of myself in him. So and this brings me to one of my favourite lines in all of Star Wars Expanded Universe books, games, a lot, is actually in episode 2.
Yeah.
And it's when Padme says to Anakin, to be angry is to be human. And I feel like George Lucas, and I really hope that he chose that, or saw it and was like, yes, that makes sense. Because it shows that the Jedi and the Sith are impractical ways of living.
Yeah.
You can't live and separate yourself from all material possessions and all love and only mate and then do all this kind of monk stuff. I know some people can. And there be no kind of repercussions. And you can't live a life of passion and greed and there be no degradation.
Yeah.
There has to be a middle.
Balance.
But in the middle, there's anger and there's all these emotions that the Jedi taboo. So
they're both flawed ideologies.
They are, yes. Even if they exist in a different universe, which I know will be a lot of other people's arguments.
Yeah.
So that was the bit that I loved, was Anakin's transaction as sudden as it was. Those are the bits that I thought.
That's fair enough.
Were good to keep him, even though lots of people hate it.
Yeah, like I've said, I'm not a big fan of that. But, you know, people have their own... That's what's good about it. People have their own take on things.
They do.
That's why the internet opinions of the Last Jedi are so polarising, because everyone's got their opinion on what Star Wars is to them.
Indeed. And going further into that, isn't what we're currently getting someone's opinion or impression of, or take on Star Wars anyway?
Absolutely.
Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams, this is their take on what they've been given. They've been given the source material and then told, okay, out of this canon, do what you want. And they did.
As long as it sells enough toys.
Yeah, fair.
Well, this is true though. You can't
Wasn't it
hide.
Mark Hamill said that in an interview.
You can't. Did he?
Yeah.
You can't hide behind that sort. Oh yes, I think I saw him. It's like, Kylo Ren smashed his helmet, and everybody was upset because now the Kylo Ren toys with the helmets are now defunct.
Yeah, defunct. But he was saying in an old interview as well. He said, you know, the stories are good and they're fleshed out, but so long as they make money, that is the most important thing.
Yes.
And
Of course it is.
I suppose I can understand that a little bit, because without money, the people who made the films wouldn't live. They need that for a living, as we do with all of our respective jobs.
Yeah.
So that's the main aim. But I just wish it wasn't as prominent an aim as it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like good storytelling suffers at times.
That's why the first one's the purest one, because it was done on a shoestring budget.
It was, and it was just meant as a kind of a cheesy space-themed movie. I don't think it... And I'd love to also think that George saw a bigger vision, because he always named it as kind of space opera. No one outside of George really could, because it wasn't a lot of his first scripts, they were turned down.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of studios. Lots of people doubted that it would become a thing, but he was really adamant.
He was the only one that believed it would actually become a thing, you know.
Of course it did. Perhaps there's a bigger story there to be told, but
maybe
he was
that's the true Star Wars story.
Visited by a divine.
Yes.
Visited by the Anakin, the
ghost of Yoda.
Yeah.
Came and spoke to him.
And then,
You should make much money with
Merchandising. Oh, that Mel Brooks scene. Nailed that. Spaceballs to flamethrower.
Fair enough, but we should probably wrap up this episode.
We probably should.
1 hour and 12 in.
1:12. Sorry, everybody. I'm probably not going to have the patience to listen to this in one sitting.
No, that's cool. So thank you very much for joining me for these 2
It's been a pleasure coming along.
Absolute pleasure having you. Hopefully you'll be back for some more stuff.
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
We'll get Matt on as well, because he hates me talking about Star Wars, so it's always fun.
It's always fun listening to Matt moan about
Slowly
us.
sitting down in his chair, just like, no more.
Stop talking about Star Wars.
But yeah, thank you so much.
That's right, it's been a pleasure.
And hopefully join us next week for another episode of State of the Galaxy. Take care, you guys.